Joining us now, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. God, Governor's good to see you.
Great to be here.
If we spent all our time talking about the shutdowns, I guess we sort of missed the bigger point, and that is the environment that we find ourselves in right now. What did you make of the solution that Speaker McCarthy came up with, and what does it mean for his future as Speaker, do you think?
Well, I was really pleased that Speaker McCarthy actually showed some leadership and worked hard to try to avoid the government shutdown and worked across the aisle with Democrats in both the House and the Senate. You know, these kind of handful of renegade Republicans led by Matt Gaetz we're really trying to, drive the car off the road, and it's not great for the Republican Party or for the country. I mean, this is something that happens seemingly over and over and over again. Republicans and Democrats can't get their act together, but they're, threatening to get rid of him if he works with Democrats. It's ludicrous. I mean, I was a Republican governor in a state with 70% majorities of Democrats in both houses, and we balance the budget every single year. You have to work across the aisle and try to reach compromise. And so I thought McCarthy did a good job, but again, it's only temporary for 45 days. It took us away from the brink, but we're still dealing with the underlying problem. And, you got this kind of wacky guy that seems to want to, ruin the Republican Party and the country.
Well, there's some personal animus there. You talk about Matt Gaetz, obviously. There's some personal things there, too. But the other gentleman can always fall back on the high-minded principle that we're at $33 trillion, and my constituents elected me to do whatever I can to stop what they view as just out of control spending.
Well, it's absurd that we haven't passed the budget in so long and that we continue to kick the can down the road. This is no way to run a railroad. However, it's better than the alternative of shutting down the government. So it's, I agree. The underlying problem needs to be fixed, and somehow, some way, we've got to actually have honest, real discussions about what we do about this deficit. I came into my state with a $5 billion deficit, turned it into a $5 billion surplus, working with Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, we had to make some really tough choices on the budget, and we cut back on some things that were, not that comfortable to do, but also we, generated more revenue by growing businesses and
by
more
raising
people
taxes?
to work. We cut taxes 8 years in a row by $4.8 billion.
How does that work? How can you cut taxes and raise revenue?
Because we went from a place
that's
where...
That's called trickle-down, and that doesn't work.
No, it worked really well. All the businesses, jobs, and taxpayers that were fleeing the state started coming in.
I'm devil's advocating.
I got the sarcasm.
Yeah, I mean, we could...
By the way, it works on a state basis. Doesn't always work on a national basis because you can...
That's all we got.
Entitlements.
That's all we got. We either got, because of entitlement. But you got trickle-down in the private sector or trickle-up government, which is much worse.
No, but
what we really have right now is this divided, divisive, toxic politics in Washington where nobody ever seems to get anything done. And most Americans are fed up with it, and they're really concerned right now about this election coming up. And they don't really think Republicans or Democrats are working to solve problems.
What's the fix, though? I mean, does this have to be done in the primaries beforehand? I mean, how would you send...
It's one of the most...
a different message.
Strange and interesting political process I've ever seen. But both parties seem to be losing touch with the average American. For example, Joe Biden's messaging about Bidenomics and there really is no inflation problem. The average American doesn't feel that. They feel like, hey, housing costs are up, my cost of groceries is up 25%, I'm struggling paycheck to paycheck, and they're telling them everything is great.
Right, to identify the economy.
They hate the fact that nobody will work together to even try to come up with bipartisan, common sense solutions. There's no easy answers, but they've got to, they elect people to go down there and do the hard work, and they're not doing the hard work. They're just playing politics.
But talking about playing politics, can you explain the popularity of President Trump?
It's hard to explain. No, people come up to me, can you explain why this is that your party's off the rails? And I say, no, I really can't explain it. But it's about half of the Republican primary base that still likes Trump. It's about 35% are completely locked in on Trump, won't even consider anyone else.
And what do you think that's about?
I think it's about, Trump, they like the fact that he rails against the swamp and the deep state, and he doesn't talk like another politician. They think he's standing up for them. But about more than half of the Republicans want to move on and find another candidate. The problem is they've got 11 choices.
It was unfortunate in the last election, unfortunate in the midterms, that the door is open for conservatism and Republican policies because of Biden's weaknesses across the board. And the Democrats have the same problem. They had Bernie in the lead. Clyburn decides that's never going to work. So they marry this elderly gentleman at this point, and they're stuck with him without. And Kamala's waiting in the wings with Vice President Harris. People don't think so. I mean, both sides.
Biden and Trump are the two least popular presidents in American history.
I don't understand.
70% of the people in America do not want either one of them to be president. They do not want a rematch, and yet that appears at this point to be the likely scenario. I don't frankly think the Democrats should nominate Biden, and I don't think the Republicans should nominate Trump. There's got to be better people in America.
Okay. Supposedly, Glenn Youngkin's meeting with big donors. Do you think that if he and it's a weird election down in Virginia on an off year, but if he secures the state legislatures for the Republicans, does that open up? He's only been in
with
office
a filing deadline.
He's only been in that business for 2 years. Is that good or bad?
Look, we've got 11 candidates to choose from, 6 of my former gubernatorial colleagues. I don't know that a 7th governor or a 12th candidate is going to make a difference. I think the world of Glenn Youngkin, he's focused on those Virginia elections next door to me in Maryland. I'm hoping he's going to be successful. I don't think there's any chance that he runs. And, the filing deadline for the first states is October 9th. So a lot of talk about after the election or this and that. I'm not sure him getting in the race is going to make a difference, and I don't think he will.
The question is whether the Republicans could run another candidate that could win in a general election if you lose all the Trump supporters. Same for Biden. If somebody else runs, can you win somebody? Because both of them have kind of taken extremes and tried to marry them together just to have a coalition.
Well, it's why I didn't run for president, even though I had the highest approval rating of any governor in America and successfully won over independents and Democrats and Republicans, over 70 in every demographic. I didn't want to be part of this multi-car pileup, and I didn't think one person could take on the Trump numbers. I'm hoping we can narrow the field down to to a couple. Look, I think governors have the best training ground for being president. There are 6 of them in the race, but I think I want to see somebody stand up and show me something.
You like the Dakota guy? You like Burgum?
He's a terrific guy. I like him a lot. He's a smart business guy that made $1 billion and has done a great job as governor. I don't think he can win. Right. So the problem is right now, no one's getting traction. Nikki Haley, I think, had a really strong first debate, and she looked good. She stumbled a little bit in the second debate. She's dropped rather than gone up. She started to go up, came back down a couple points.
Ron DeSantis, possibly?
I think DeSantis, he's had 5 or 6 try to reboots of his campaign, and he started out with all the advantages. The name ID, $150 million, a 24-hour Fox coverage, and yet he's continued to stumble.
I would imagine you'd like
I think it's getting to be close to be over for...
I'd imagine you'd like Chris Christie, even though his numbers are
Christie's a great friend. I like him a lot. I like the fact that he's out there throwing the punches. He's the only one seems to be prosecuting the case against Trump, but he's, it's reflected in the numbers. None of them are really getting traction, and that's frustrating to me.